Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello and welcome to the Pylon Show, hosted here on my channel today. Artosis still out. I am joined by three fantastic guests, and we're just going to jump straight into it. We're talking DreamHack qualifiers all day today, and I've been joined by three of the folks who are bringing you all of the DreamHack action. Starting on the far left-hand side, Chicken Man SC, some of the best hair for any commentator in StarCraft 2. Chicken Man, welcome to the Pylon Show. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you for that introduction. I have to make sure there's the correct amount of average hair. That's why I was brought on today. A lot of times you'll get like a zombie grub or a main art on the show, but today I'm the hair balance.
Well, you do it very well. We're super glad to have you here. Directly underneath me is Rotterdam, a man that needs no introduction. Roddy, welcome back to the Pylon Show. You got to have like the Nestea Award for the most guest appearances on the Pylon Show, right?
I think the first year you were absolutely right. Like, especially the first 80, 90 editions, because I always had Jeff reaching out to me. He's like, "Hey, to ask you, buddy, but I know it's 4 a.m." I was like, "Of course, Jeff." But over the last year, I got to say I'm not on very often anymore. I think Cobra hates me secretly. I don't know what I've ever done to that guy. But other than that, the first year, yes, but yeah, it's always good to be on, mate. I'm looking forward to talking about StarCraft with you guys.
Yeah, no, Cobra definitely doesn't hate you secretly, Rotterdam. That's definitely not what
it's public. Yeah, I see.
Wow. And the final guest that we've got today, of course, in the bottom right-hand side there, Steadfast, SC2. Steadfast, my man. We're going to pay you in normal money, but you were talking before the show about Canadian dollars, and you called it CAD, like that was a thing?
Yeah, no, it's I heard an American use it, so I figured that it must be a real thing. And I was therefore allowed to use it as well, being, America Junior up here.
American Junior.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to being on here. I can tell you about all of the weird customs we have. We have skates on everything, on our cars, on our hockey sticks. Just how to get around 101.
Interesting.
Next, you're going to tell me your dollars are called loonies.
No, that'd be crazy. They're called toonies.
Jeez. Well, guys, I'm super glad to have you all here. We should have a nice little short and sweet edition of the Pylon Show today. We're going to get really depth into the event that's going on right now. I think the event on everybody's mind, of course, are these ESL DreamHack qualifiers happening now for DreamHack Summer that's coming up. The qualifiers already underway. I know Rotterdam, Chicken Man have been covering a ton of the action. I think Roddy and Chick, you guys have covered between the two of you certainly every one, if not all of them twice over. So we're going to take a look right now at the brackets for each of those and go through. I'm super jazzed, guys. I wanted to first talk about format, though, for anybody who's joining us and isn't following along super close. Roddy, we didn't talk about this before the show. Do you have a couple seconds you can sort of walk the people at home through how the format is this year for each regional in the DreamHack?
Well, okay. First of all, I only did Europe and NA, but I assume that it's the same format for the other regions too.
It is, yeah.
So it gets a bit complicated, and the longer you talk about it, the more complicated that it seems. But in the end, it's actually not that complicated. Basically, the best performing players from last year, they get seeded directly into the main event, the DreamHack SC2 Masters Summer, where in Europe we obviously have the 4 big groups with 8 players each. I really like that format, but that's a different discussion. So the best performing players get directly invited. Then we had 16 players who did pretty good last year, so they get directly invited into the closed qualifier, which takes place tomorrow, and for NA it takes place tonight. And then we had 2 open qualifiers earlier this week, just speaking from the Europe point of view. One on Wednesday and one on Friday. Both qualifiers, 8 people qualified from the open qualifier into the closed qualifier to duke it out with the other 16 that have been invited. And that obviously takes place tomorrow night. So the TLDR is, if you were really good last year, you're already done. You're in the main event. If you're kind of good, you didn't have to play the open qualifiers. And if you were not good at all, you had to start in the open qualifiers to duke it out with the guys that were kind of good.
This is the new headline for the Pylon Show. Roddy calls every player in Europe not good at all. We're going to make sure we run with that. You're right. That did get more complicated as you explained it, but you're not wrong in that it's pretty simple to understand. I think basically 3 tiers: players, invited players, qualified players, and then open qualifier players. And as you said, Roddy, the open qualifiers have finished up for all regions now, completely done. And we're moving in now to the closed qualifier, which is I think it's fair to say probably where things get interesting. I know, Chicken Man, you said you've been covering some of the open qualifiers.
That's not fair, Creighton. Also, I'm going to stop you right there. That's not fair. The open qualifiers are actually super fun because obviously we've seen a lot of these guys in the past and they are used to playing games on the Premier stage. It's honestly very cool to see a lot of the up-and-coming talent in the European scene play in the open qualifiers, and whether they're going to make it into the main event or not is not that important. It is often an important stepping stone for them for, in the first time of their career, potentially make it into the close qualifier. So sure, the level gets higher, but the open qualifier is actually really cool to follow too.
So you've been having fun casting events still?
Yes, besides one evening in NA where things got very weird at 3 a.m. and there were 2 Protoss armies running around for 37 minutes. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, no, let's not talk about that at all. Chicken Man, is that the experience you've had casting these open qualifiers? Like, maybe not the highest level of play, but still super fun to see these not-so-famous names?
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun because I feel like you get a lot of underdogs doing well and like players you kind of have heard of. Maybe you've seen a little bit here and there. And they just come out and like smash. I was following Mixu the other day, and I was like, oh, I don't really know Mixu that well. And then everybody was like, nah, dude, Mixu's been like training with Cyril, man. This is Cyril Jr. over here.
Mm-hmm.
And he was crushing it. He was playing really well. And it's just cool to see like underdogs and people you don't really hear about that often. A lot of the younger players start to make a name for themselves in those open qualifiers.
That's exciting. It does seem like a fairly decent format for that. Get those guys some reps at like a super high level that maybe they're not too used to, which is great. And yet you're not wrong, Chicken Man. I've had Mixu at a few of my tournaments, and it feels like every time I have Mixu on stream, Cyril is lurking in chat the whole time, and then he'll pop in once to just be like, "Oh, nice fungal," and then won't say anything else for the rest of the stream. It's terrifying. It really is. Cool. Steadfast, have you been watching the qualifiers at all? Have you been checking out what's been going on?
I haven't had a chance to watch the qualifiers, but I have been very closely following the brackets. And there's one player that I'm actually very sad who didn't make it out of EU. First of all, EU has like 70 players who could have made it through. Like people really don't understand how deep the talent pool is. But like I legitimately think if you dropped about 50 of them into NA, they would have probably qualified. Just to get that ball rolling on the NA versus EU train.
Right.
But yeah, no, Battleby is a player that I was actually expecting to not easily, but I was expecting him to cruise through in the first qualifier, and he actually didn't even technically appear on Liquipedia because he never made it past the first, I think the first 2 rounds. Like all the qualifiers had like 128 player brackets because there's so many European players. But yeah, I thought for sure he was going to be an easy make. Like he was going to make it in easily, but he just didn't.
Yeah, that's a little surprising. Battleby's been playing pretty well lately as well. I'm surprised to hear. Did you see who knocked him out by chance, Steadfast?
I looked it up, and it was some players who have been around for like quite a while.
Okay.
I think it was a Protoss player in the second qualifier, and I don't remember who it was in the first qualifier. But it was players.
First one was Hopped. It was a TVT.
Oh. Yeah, Hop's been really impressive too lately, hasn't he?
Yep, and he also didn't make it, which says enough, right? Because that guy is good too. So I totally agree with what you guys like. I don't know if it's 50 guys that would potentially make it, but if you look at the final rounds of the European qualifiers, that's nothing but guys that are above 6K. And Battleby is perhaps the best example because this kid has been getting up to 6,300, 6,400 MR. Like, that's as legit as they come. And he didn't even make it into the close qualifier, which really says enough about how tough these European qualifiers are. I think in the second qualifier, I looked it up, he lost against the Russian Protoss, Mindo VK, which, I know the name, but that actually doesn't even ring that many bells to me either.
He does a ton of online stuff. He's always at This Week in StarCraft, like making deep runs in EU, in like $50 EU online tournaments and stuff. He plays a ton. Interesting. Okay, man, Battleby. Roddy, any other names that are missing from these closed qualifiers that you're a little surprised?
Yes. Well, we're sticking with the Bs then, but what about the actual B? Not Livy B, but our Russian Zerg player B. B is also a beast, man. He's been like duking it out in the weeklies, and he's been beating guys like Harstem every now and then. And he didn't even make it. He lost against a guy that I legitimately had never heard of before, and that does not happen often. But Hanta too, and they're like, he's a French cheeser, Roddy, a cannon rusher. I was like, Never heard of him before. Apparently, he knocked out B in the round of 32 and then lost against Dimaga in the following round. So we're living in a world where Dimaga qualified for the close qualifier, but B did not. And I love Dima. He's a veteran. He's old school. But that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because B is better.
Man. Chicken Man, how about you? Anything you see that, or anything you don't see that's surprising right now? I guess we'll stick on EU or NA.
Yeah, I didn't even realize B hadn't made it. I absolutely would have expected him to get through those
I kind of
brackets.
assumed he would be in there.
Yeah, Battle B was definitely the one I noticed that he didn't make it through, and he's been one of the like promising, I want to say like mid-level EU Terrans, and there's not a lot. It's a lot of mid-level EU Protoss right now, and the Terrans are struggling. But I was really hoping for Battle B, and just sad to see him not make it through.
There are two more that I want to touch on real quick. Sorry, Craig, to touch you off. But first off, I think we were all maybe secretly hoping that Lilba would make it, right?
Yeah.
It's really cool to see him come back again. And he's been grinding. It's not just like, oh, Lilba is streaming. No, he's been playing a lot. Also 6,300 MMR. You put Lilba in NA summer, and I think he's like a top 6, top 8 contender, legitimately. Like, Lilba is actually very good. But he got Kaiji'd, the absolute nightmare of every Protoss on the server. That's the last Zerg in Europe you want to play. And also one player that maybe deserves a mention is Young Yakov, one of the young Russian Zergies. He made top 4 once of European Pro Tour Weekly, which was very wild. We're like, what the hell? Young Yakov in the top 4. But that's awesome. Kind of expected him at least in the close qualifier. Unfortunately, he didn't make it either.
Interesting. Yeah. I would definitely would have thought he would have gotten through. He did really well in the Alpha X Junior Championships. He was like top 4 in the with who was it? Poppy and Airaj Fire and Ghosty. Like those guys who are all super young players, but are just terrifyingly good. So yeah, a little surprising that they're not making it as well. Interesting. Well, I guess let's move on then from sort of who didn't make it, and we can sort of start talking about who did make it. If you guys in the chat want to check it out, you can type !B to check the brackets. And we're just going to basically walk our way down sort of this closed qualifier bracket, because obviously we don't know what the groups are going to look like yet. They haven't been seeded. So we're just going to sort of walk our way through these closed qualifier brackets and talk about every grouping of players and sort of what we expect to see from their matches and who we think might have a strong chance of moving forward. Starting with North America, round of 16. Chicken Man, I'll put this first one on you. A very interesting first group of 4. Pili, Eurysthus, Pure Legacy, and Patty Mac. Is that one easy to decide who's going to go through, or insanely difficult, Chicken Man?
I mean, I think if I don't just say Pili is like a guarantee to make it through, I'd be underselling him. There's always like complications. If Patty Mac beats Pure Legacy and you get a PvP, who the hell knows what happens then? But I feel pretty confident in saying I just think Pili is gonna smash through that one.
Well, can I can I speak up for a moment? Just
no,
I don't think Patty Mac.
Oh,
okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'll head out. Sorry, guys, my apologies.
Get back in your corner, stats fast.
You're here for nodding and nodding only. I don't think Patty Mac has played the game in like 8 months.
What?
Yeah, no, he now I could be very wrong about that. But I spoke to another Protoss player from NA. And they were talking about Patty Mac, and it was for like one of the Alpha X NA team leagues, or sorry, not team leagues, just NA leagues, and he had been seeded into that, and he just didn't show up for his group. It was actually my group, so I managed to sneak my way through when I absolutely did not deserve to. But yeah, that was like 3 or 4 months ago, and at that point, he hadn't played in 4 months. So there is a real possibility that he just is completely out of practice and doesn't really do anything. Like maybe even doesn't even show up. Who knows?
I'm trying to see, how did he earn his points in the previous? Because he got in on points. He didn't qualify through the qualifiers. Mm-hmm. He got in on points, so he must have won like one. Yeah, he got one event. Winter. Okay, so DreamHack Winter is where he got all his points, where he finished like in last place. Yeah, 7th place in his group out of 8, and got 10 placement points, and that's all it takes to get in is one decent placement. So I which is interesting because Patty Mac's a pretty decent player when he plays, but if he's been away for a while, I think you might be right, Chicken Man. It looks like Pili's got a really good Really good shot. Interesting. Our only group with no, that's not true. Oh, NA is so weird because there's so few Terran players in the. I was like, ooh, only group of 2 Terran players. Not the case. We got one coming up later.
You know, it's a double elim bracket though, right? Like we're not talking about groups of 4.
Yeah, exactly. So the top 4 players are double limb rather. So the 2 players will drop down to the losers round, and 4 more players will qualify through. That's how we'll get our 8 qualified players. That's a good point. Thanks, Roddy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's
so
basically
even,
like a GSL style group, right?
No, it's just a bracket, I think. I don't think there's any like, and I think you'll even play in the lower bracket. There's a chance you'll play some of the other guys, no, from different part of the bracket.
Yeah, because I don't think
it's
they go straight down in their same little groups of 4. I think it intermixes in the lower bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a chance that like there's no guarantee that Yuri, for instance, will play against the loser of Pure Legacy and Paddy Mac. I'm pretty sure that like they're gonna have to mix it out with the other 4 guys of the next part as well to qualify through the lower bracket.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be the format where the top player takes the top spot, and the second player takes the bottom spot. Because if you see like in Semper and Trigger, the loser of that's gonna go down to the very, very bottom of losers round 1.
That's correct. Yeah.
Basically, 2 spot.
Yeah. I'm trying to use flags to do math right now.
Yeah, flags and
it works out.
Coding.
You guys are getting there. And then I think the loser of Disc 0 goes against the loser of, one of the 2 Americans in the top side. So
yeah,
right.
Yes.
Oh no, the loser of Dolan Epic. Yeah, because it has to be an American Terran. Nice.
Fucking Encyclopedia Brown over here. Nice work, Roddy.
Yeah, so that means it is a GSL style group then, right? Because they're in the same bracket at the top.
That's like one way to think of it. Yeah, it's not how it's technically laid out.
So
same
like
same
math.
results.
Yeah. Interesting.
Am I right, or I'm celebrating too soon?
No,
I don't know.
I think you're right. I think they are going to be in the same group then. It's just out of order.
Yeah,
in a
I don't
different
know
order
why
in the lower bracket, but
yeah,
I think you're right. I think it is the same groups.
Weird.
Because Biowise Vindicta is the only blank one, and Rob Reiser is the only American Protoss. So you have Look at that. It's like Sudoku. I feel like we just Sudoku'd this bracket.
I think we're making this very hard. TLDR, guys. 8 guys are going to qualify. Let's take a look at who plays who in the opening brackets.
Perfect.
We'll see what happens for the rest of the evening.
Perfect. Good point. Roddy, let's move on to our next group of 4 here. Semper, Trigger, Skylar. Ooh, there's a name. And Jon Snow. Now, Roddy, this NA probably not your strongest suit, but you have been casting almost all the NA stuff here. You know these guys pretty well.
Hey,
Roddy,
Creighton
Euro
Olsen.
bro, he doesn't know anybody, and no, they're not right.
Mark your step, Creighton. Trigger is going to make it out of those 4. I think he is the best, actually. I think out of those 4 players, Trigger is currently the best. He is a young, up-and-coming Canadian Protoss player that I've played against maybe 5-6 times in the last month. Been generally impressed by him. I don't know what Jon Snow is up to these days. We know that he's always pretty good at StarCraft.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be surprised if Trigger doesn't make it. Then again, he's kind of new to this stage, right? Maybe there's some pressure on his shoulders, but I do really believe that when it comes to pure skill, he should be the best of those 4 at this point.
That's exciting. Now, it's funny because I would have said like a year ago, I feel like Jon Snow would have been the out-and-out favorite to move on from this, right?
Yes.
I would agree. with that.
Absolutely.
But Trigger's really been looking really impressive lately. Like, he is an up-and-comer for sure, so anything can happen, but like, he's been looking really strong.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're underestimating Semper a little bit here too. He originally was a Terran player, but he switched to Protoss, and he actually has some terrifying PvP. I still think Trigger is for sure the favorite in that matchup, but I would not be surprised if Semper shows up with a build that we haven't seen before and just beats Trigger, and then all of a sudden, Jon Snow is a little bit rusty, or maybe Skylar upsets him, and then Semper somehow makes it out first.
Definitely possible, and Semper is a veteran, and he was an amazing Terran player, and he is a good Protoss player right now, but I have the feeling that Trigger is just playing way more, and I think at this point, I think Semper is good, but if you're telling me can Semper be like 6.2k on Europe at this point, I personally don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. But Trigger is doing that, so I feel that, that all that practice should kick in, and hopefully that young Canadian can show us what he's made of.
Yeah, that'd be really exciting. If you guys watch the This Week in StarCraft segment, Trigger's name has been all over that segment. Every online cup, every qualifier, everything. He's been playing so much. So that ought to be a really nice bracket. I'm excited to see how that one shakes out. And again, these brackets being played today, literally right after the Pylon show. Very excited. Fear Dragon dropped some knowledge in the chat. He's not in law school. He graduated. He's a lawyer. Wow. Chicken man. Oh, jeez. Okay, next one up, Steadfast. Let's get your hot take on this one. Disc Zero, Dolan, Epic, loaded down with Terran players.
Yeah, I think this is, looking at everything, this is probably the highest overall skill. Well, actually, no, you got the last one's pretty good too. Yeah. I'm really excited to see what Epic can do. He was one of the players who was a guy to watch out for like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And then he kind of took his foot off the gas a little bit, hasn't played as much recently. Dolan is, of course, well known for his Dolan builds. Very, very creative player, very strong understanding of the game. And I think both of them can be a solid contender to make it out of there. And to kind of piggyback off of what Roddy was saying before, Disc, one of those players that plays a lot of EU, and he has actually recently, I think he's even hit like 6.3 or 6.4K on EU recently. And in some of the ESL Open Cups, he's taken games off of Hero Marine. So in a game or in a bracket with 3 other Terran players, I think Disc is an easy pick to make it out. But, Dolan, he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. Epic's a very good player, so who knows. Zero, I do think, is a little bit the odd player out, which is funny because I've played him myself, and I know that he is a very, very good player. But the fact that I've played him means that he maybe isn't on the level of these other 3.
Self-burn, that's rare.
Well, kamikaze burn, you have to. So, but yeah, no, I think Disc is the favorite to make it out, and then I think it's going to be between Dolan and Epic, depending on how much Epic has been practicing. But probably I'm going Disc Dolan.
Interesting. Okay, I like that. Roddy, when you're prepping for a tournament and you've only got Terran players, does it actually make your job like 66% easier?
Probably a little bit, but I think Disc is just going for the overall practice, because I honestly agree with literally everything that Steadfast said. Turns out that if you cast a shit ton of StarCraft and you keep your eyes open, you kind of know what you're talking about. I think he nailed it, man. Epic was indeed incredibly good a year ago. I would have been like, that's going to be sick. Epic against Disc, can't wait. Now I think Disc has just been putting in the work. He plays a lot. He's been grinding. He's been proving himself on the European ladder in the online tournaments. I don't think that Disc is looking at this and like, whoa, I got to reach out to some Terran players now. I think he's just playing some ladder games and he's going to be fine. He's too good. Disc is honestly just too good for these guys.
Awesome. Well, that'll be good representation then into the grand finals, hopefully. Cool. So Disc all the way through, pretty roundly consensus there. And our final series here, our final group rather, at the very bottom, with a PvP, Rob and Riser, followed by BioIce, Vindicta. Steadfast, you caught yourself last one by saying, oh, that previous one probably has the most talent. And then I imagine you looked at the next 4 names and went, oh, no, wait a minute, this is where everybody is.
Yeah, definitely. So Rob is... he's another one of those players that's a little bit of an enigma right now. I don't exactly know how much he's been playing. Maybe you've run into him a little bit on the EU server there, Roddy. But I know that in the past he was a very, very tricky player. Big fan of cannon rushes in PvP. Big fan of kind of inventing his own styles, playing a little bit fast and loose. Really, really solid player overall, but very much plays his own style. And then Riser, I think his biggest claim to fame is actually a Cheesadelphia, where off the back of like a DT drop build that was just perfectly tuned, he just tore his way through a loser's bracket. But anyone from NA knows that he's quite a good player. Does anybody want to talk about BioIce Vindicta a little bit?
Chicken Man, I was going to ask if you'd seen these guys lately.
I feel like I'm just going to say Vindicta should be pretty favorited here. From what I've seen lately, like BioIce is a very good player, but I think Vindicta will just be able to kind of take him out. That's what it feels like to me.
I think that's probably a fair assessment, honestly. As you said, BioIce pretty damn good. He's going to be one of the guys I'm going to keep my eyes out for in the losers round to maybe move forward, get a couple upsets and grab one of those 4 spots that's left over in the bottom side of the qualifier bracket. Because we got Riser forgot the part where I qualify though in chat. Oh man. Yeah, so I think you guys are probably right here. This bottom 4 should be a really, really interesting watch, and I'm looking forward to these guys coming up right after this. Again, this starts about an hour from now. Chicken Man and Rotterdam both going to be covering the action, so be sure to go check out their streams after this event's over. Do a little preview now. Steadfast and Rotterdam. I'm sorry, Chicken Man. Yeah. Steadfast and Rotterdam. Exactly. Any final thoughts there on the North American bracket? We've sort of gone through who we think's going to win the qualifiers. Chicken Man, if you had to pick 2 players that you think aren't going to qualify through in the upper bracket, but have the best chance in the lower bracket, who you picking?
Ooh, I mean, I got to agree when you said BioIce in the lower bracket, I think is going to be a big contender. The tough thing, I feel like there's a lot of, or at least a few unknown players. We kind of talked about Patty Mac and Rob, and those are big question marks for me. I feel like if they've been secretly practicing a bit, or they're just like having a good day, they could get out in the upper bracket. So once they drop to the lower bracket, if that happens, I'm going to be still like, I think they can beat a lot of the players there. But other than that, I think Jon Snow, if he does fall to trigger, if that group goes the way we're kind of thinking about it, I think Jon Snow is still strong enough to probably get out.
Hey, what do we think about Semper race switching if he has to play Jon Snow in the bottom?
Ooh.
To Terran.
Oh.
Is that allowed?
Yes,
I have no idea. It is?
Yeah, I would assume so in between series, right?
No, if you want to play best of 3 as a Protoss and then play in the lower bracket as a Terran, you're absolutely allowed to do that. Why wouldn't you be allowed to do that?
It's been banned in some tournaments before. You have to play the same race for the whole tournament. But ESL rules are series by series.
That is like, I don't know which tournaments that did, but that's really stupid. Like, that shouldn't be a rule ever. That makes no sense at all. It's like, hey, you're really good with 2 races. That's illegal. Okay, stick to 1. It's like, what? I can understand, like, not switching in the middle of a best of 3, even though I still feel like that should be allowed as long as there is clear communication about, not during the countdown. Like, before the game, you have to say, I play Terran or Protoss or Zerg. Like, I can understand maybe not switching during countdowns and stuff, but all of that should be legal. It's very silly to forbid that.
I agree as well. Crazy. Okay, so Semper race switching to Terran in the lower bracket, depending on whose opponent is.
I'd love
Steadfast?
Oh, I hope so. I hope he if he can switch mid-series, I hope he does that too. Like I think if he plays TBZ versus honestly, Jon Snow is a weird one though, because Jon Snow hates Protoss, so it might be worthwhile just to stay as Protoss. But I mean, his Terran is good enough that he was beating Scarlet pretty consistently, not all the time, but consistently enough with his main Terran. So, I mean, I think it would be. I think it's at least in the forefront of his mind.
Then again, though, guys, if we have a decent amount of time to play, but not that much time, would you rather play Protoss or Terran? I'm a Protoss by heart, but let's be real. If I would have little time to practice, I would always play Protoss over Terran.
Yeah, that's true. Protoss has Void Rays, and that really helps you out.
Yeah. And it's a little bit easier to sit there and get a couple carriers out than it is to drop with 3 different medevacs across the map and then transition into liberated goals while going up to 5 bases and dealing with banelings. Screw that. Let's build cannons and batteries and chrono boost out carriers. Come on, mate.
I love it. Roddy, any players you think probably won't make it through in the upper bracket but have a chance in the loser bracket?
Yeah, it's actually very tricky because I do think Semper is indeed someone that could make it through the lower bracket, but so could Jon Snow, so that's a hard one. I think if Pure Legacy loses to Pili Pili, he could very well make it through the lower bracket, but I don't know how much he's played recently. Maybe Dolan, if Epic is indeed not playing at all. Like, sorry, Dolan, but a while ago I really thought that Epic was a lot better than you. Right now, there is a chance that Dolan gets that done. And I don't even know who's going to win between Rob, Riser, BioIce, and Vindicta. Like, I think Vindicta would beat Riser, but I think Rob could beat Vindicta because Rob is just weird and crazy like that. And I think that's kind of maybe the right style to take out someone like Vindicta. Then again, BioIce could beat Riser, but BioIce would probably lose to Rob, I think, at least. I don't know, man. Any of those 4, they have a good shot at making it through the upper and the lower bracket. I do feel that Vindicta should always make it, But the last time I played ladder against him, I actually beat my own son, and that's not a good sign. Once you start losing to Roddy, the end is near. So I hope that Vindicta turns things around. I don't know. There's a couple fun guys for sure to follow in the lower bracket.
Man, this is going to be great. Steadfast, final thoughts here on NA before we move on to our EU bracket.
I hope to see lots of Canadian flags make it through. I think the big player to watch here in the entire thing is Trigger. I think Roddy hit the nail on the head with that one. He is such an exciting player right now. Anyone who's been following him knows that he's basically the only new talent in NA right now. That hasn't, like, if you look at this list of players, you can trace all of them back. Eurystheus actually is new talent, so to speak. But he's been playing for a while, and it's not a fluke that he made it necessarily through, but he is definitely overmatched in this group stage. Trigger, on the other hand, though, definitely has a very, very real shot of not just making it through here, but having a really good performance in the overall tournament, I think.
It's fun, right? It's actually really cool to finally see a brand new name rise up and just consistently get better, and seems very motivated too. Like, that's the best part of everything.
Dude, Eurystheus 3-0'd Practice X to qualify in. That's insane. He's got to have good stamina then. Wild. Cool. North America qualifiers start in just under an hour, guys. So make sure after you finish watching us, go check out the streams. The folks who are covering all the action. We'll raid somebody, but Rotterdam is also going to be covering the event. It should be really great here.
No
do you guys
love
know
for the little guy. I know how it is, Chris. I know how it is.
Sorry, Roddy. I gotta give the popular people a chance.
Yeah.
Anyway, NA's finishing up. I'm super jazzed, man. I'm gonna watch as much of it as I can. I think we got 4 or 5 really interesting storylines to go through, and that's just the upper brackets. Again, it's all double elimination. Anybody who loses once heading down to the lower bracket to get a second chance. So ought to be good. 8 players qualify through today, and that leaves them with there'll be 8 players already in the main event that have already come through based on their previous standings from the EPT points. We got 4 Protosses: Estrella, M. Canning, Neeb, and Nina. We got Future and Masa for our Terran players, and Namshar, Scarlet in our Zerg spots. That's a pretty stacked lineup of 8 NA pros. I don't care who comes through. It's going to be tough to make it through those group stages.
Yeah, I'm really excited to find out how NA Pro Namshar can do in this one. I'm really excited.
Famous NA Pro.
Yeah, I mean, the TLDR of everything is that tonight is a very big night for these youngsters, right? Because if you qualify, you make it into the main event, you're going to stay busy for the upcoming 3 weeks. You can earn points for the rest of the year. If you don't make it out of the qualifiers tonight, well, back to the drawing board, and we'll see you again in 2 months for the next Dreamhack. I don't know if they're going to call it fall, autumn, winter, whatever they may call it, but that's going to take a little while. So tonight is a really big night for these guys.
And anybody who makes it through earns some money as well, some good money, $400, and I think probably more importantly, those 5 EPT points. We just saw that. Who was it?
Patty Mac. Yeah.
Patty Mac made it through, just getting to like an 8th place finish or a 10th place finish or whatever in the last series. So some points is going to be pretty good for all these guys as well. Really looking forward to North America. Should be great. And with that, it's time for EU, which I've budgeted twice as long for because, of course, twice as many players. 16 players have qualified through already based on their previous points earnings, and 16 players going to come through the new closed qualifiers. Before we get to the closed qualifiers, I think Roddy and Steadfast, you guys covered open qualifiers as well, right?
Yep.
Roddy, standout games, standout players. Who's punching above their weight level right now?
From the guys that made it out of the open qualifiers, I don't know if like they're really punching above their weight, but obviously Dimaga qualifying, that's a little bit surprising. Did not expect that. I think he's gonna have a very tough time in the closed qualifier. Mixu is a really fun story. Chicken Man already mentioned him in the beginning of the show, but he was so close to making it in the first qualifier, which I honestly thought was a little bit surprising. No offense, Mixu, love you, but I was like, he was up 2-0 against Spots, and I think like Spots is legit good.
Yeah.
Then he still fell short, and then he had honestly the most fun best of 5 ZVZ I've casted in a while, where he probably should have lost the ZVZ either 5-0 or maybe 4-0-1, you know, like four losses and a draw. Somehow he came out on top. 2 absolute miraculous comebacks in game 2 and game 4, and game 5 was just, well, let's both just be wild and throw everything we have at each other. Super fun series, him between Soul Spirit. Yeah, that was definitely the standout series for me. That was like the final series I casted to, but that was really cool.
That's excellent. Excellent. And Steadfast, how about yourself? Anything big that came through from the open qualifiers?
Yeah, I kind of already mentioned it before in who didn't make it through in Battleby, but one player that I'm pretty excited about, kind of watched him before like last year, casted him a lot, and glad to see him kind of returning a little bit, is Milky Cow. Milky Cow, a young Russian player, so fast, very aggressive Terran player. And I mean, if even though we lose out on Battle B, we get a Milky Cow, so it's not too bad. You lose a B, you get a cow. That's not too bad.
And what are the odds that of the 32 players, there are 4 Terrans or 5 Terrans, and 2 of them are faced up against each other? We got like 1 TVT guaranteed for Milky Cow as he gets straight into the round of 32.
Yeah, those games against Lilbal were real fun too, by the way. They made no sense at first. And I was like, I'm not sure if Milky Cow can do it. I don't know how much he's been playing, but he looked damn good and it got real wild at Oxide. And Lilbal in the first game, like he wasn't even completely down and out. It's just that Milky Cow was playing a style where you basically couldn't kill him, but he was finding so much damage. And at one point, even though Lilbal had 165 supply of a pretty decent Protoss army, Colossus, Blinkstalkers, upgrades, still had a couple bases, he's like GG. He just left with money in the bank and everything. And I think that's like the biggest compliment that Milky Cow can get, because Lilbal's just like, I'm done with this game. Like, I know I can't kill you, and you're kind of styling on me at this point, kid, and I don't like it, so I'm out of here. Yeah, the young Russian was playing real well.
Was Milky Cow like turtled up on like 5 or 6 bases or something, just tanks all over the place?
Yep, tanks, liberators, planetary fortresses, and then he just kept dropping, and it's really annoying to play those games because on one end you're like, I've got an army, I still have 2-3 bases, I've got good upgrades, but I know I'm not gonna kill you, and I know you're only gonna get further and further ahead. Like, and then like it was kind of just like throwing in the towel, right? It's the equivalent of throwing in the towel in a boxing match. But the kid was playing real well. I think someone we should maybe mention, I'm not surprised that he made it through the open qualifiers. What was a fun fact is that he didn't make it once into the main event the entirety last year. And that's Strange, because Strange is really good, actually. Like, that guy's legit good. He beats up on the top Europeans very often. Last year, he did not qualify for DreamHack a single time, not for summer, spring, or winter, or whatever we called it back then. Yeah. He should really make it this year, because Strange is way too good not to make it into the main event once.
Interesting. I mean, beating King Cobra is pretty impressive, because King Cobra is one of those like really hardcore sleeper Russian players who can.
And he did make it last year, right? King Cobra did make it into one DreamHack.
Yeah, actually, casting for the games. Go ahead.
Can we just talk about? Can we just talk about how the fact that the Russian scene has like 20 players that are just absolute killers, and like no one even knows who they are for the most part, unless you're like really paying attention to the scene. Like there's just so many players that you've never even heard of. Like Kukwar is a player who is very, very good, and he made it to the qualifying round. You have, I mean, obviously, man, I'm trying to look here. Yeah, King Cobra, like you said, Strange making through, which is awesome. We're just gonna take a peek at a league lab.
We talked about B earlier, who didn't quite make it, but I think I was certainly expecting him to make it. He's another Russian player. It's very, very good.
I honestly thought he was going to make it into the main event, and that's what I was in agreement with Battle Booty too. These guys, I didn't think they were going to make it into the close qualifier. I thought B and Battle B, or Battle Booty as I like to call him, I thought they were going to just make it into the main event, and I was like, it's going to be fun to see how they will perform. Instead, they didn't even make it into the close qualifier, which honestly, once again, says enough. And you know, guys, Lilbao lost in the first qualifier, right, in the final round against Milky Cow. Second qualifier, he got Kaiji'd. And I honestly think that he doesn't know Kaiji that well. But Kaiji, I used to kind of hate Kaiji, I'll be honest, I'll go on the record. Just because he's the most obnoxious Zerg to play against. You might like PvZ, that means nothing if you play against the Estonian Zerg. Like, he plays in his own way. It's a mix between Bly and any other random Zerg. But this guy has done this a million times. And you just never know if, like, okay, you're building a hatchery in my hatchery, you're building a hatchery in my main. Do I kill probes? How many probes do I kill? And like, if you just cancel the first hatch, he just does it again. And like, if I let this finish up, the Zerglings pop, then the Zerglings start knocking down your front wall. And it's impossible to not overreact, but it's also very hard to not underreact, because the guy is a genius. And when you finally think like, that was pretty good defense, you go over the replay and you're like, He's got a 7-drone lead at home over me. Like I'm like sitting here thinking that I had a really good defense. I killed 20 Zerglings. I killed the hatchery, and I'm behind. He's on 3 bases. I'm on 2, and he's got more workers. Like Kaiji is gonna be fun to watch as well on Sunday, especially if he goes up against some of the Artosis, because the man is a nightmare to play in PvZ. Absolute nightmare.
I can't wait, and we'll get to talk to him because Rotterdam, your wish has definitely been granted if you look at the open bracket. We talked about it. It's funny, we talked about this last week. We were talking about cheese, and I think it was Neuro had said there's that famous quote where I fear not the man who's practiced 1,000 punches one time, but the man who's practiced one punch 1,000 times, and that's definitely Kaiji. Like just terrifying on both sides. Excellent. Steadfast, did you cover some of the closed qualifiers as well?
No, I didn't get a chance to cover any of these ones, but like I said,
Okay.
I was following these brackets. I will be covering the ones coming up, and I mean, just looking at the closed. Or are we still on the open, or the switching to the closed now?
Oh, sorry, I was just finishing up the open. If there's anything else you wanted to add.
Yeah, there's. I mean, I said it before, and I'll say it again. The level of talent depth is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I do want to shout out Solier, who is a player who is really, really good. He made it through. Really, really fantastic player. And I'm very excited to see what he can do here because he's actually had, there was a tournament a few months ago and he played Rogue. He played, what did he play? He played, I think, 3 Koreans and he actually beat all of them. Like now you can argue, you can be like, oh, okay, you know, it was cross server, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, it was cross server for him too. They were playing on NA. And he beat Rogue. He beat like, I got to look it up now. But some absolutely ludicrously good players. So he is one of those players that I myself, until I just re-looked at the bracket again, I was kind of sleeping on him. But like, you really can't. Like, he is a player who I think will probably make it into the main tournament. And I'm really excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, I'm excited about Solar as well. He was one of those players where, like, at the beginning of last year, I got really excited about Solar. Oh, he's got this great trajectory. He can really make something happen. Made it to a couple dream hacks, if not all 3 of them last year. Fizzled out in the group stages. Didn't really perform the way I'd hoped he would. I think he struggled to even win series. Maybe went 0-8 a couple of times. But still like a fighter, and again a young talent that we haven't seen really too much before the previous year, I don't think. Roddy, any final thoughts?
I hate Sulir. He's the one who defeated me in Game 5. If I would have just beat him, I would have qualified for DreamHack instead. Can you guys stop talking about Sulir, please?
Yeah, no, let's move on. Good point, Rotterdam. We'll
he's actually, like, we get along real well. Obviously, that's a game that terrorizes me still in my nightmares. But I do think Sulir is good. But looking at if that's indeed a little mini bracket, and he's going to have to make it out of DNS, Strange, and Aquaron, he's not the favorite there, guys. Like, that's going to be real hard for him.
Yeah, that'll be tough. That'll really be tough. Well, yeah, let's hop on in then to this closed bracket here and get started breaking this all down. We got 32 players and only 16 qualification spots. Yeah, so half of these players gonna get knocked out. Let's start with our top 4. Chicken Man, Bly. Is it Spazzy Mazzy? I never know how to say his name. Spatz, and then Braddock. An interesting lineup here in the top 4, and not just because Bly's in there.
Yeah, no, it's actually a really cool group of 4, I feel like, because there are a few of these players, I think, in a lot of these other groups would just be like, they're not going to make it. That's too bad. But there's definitely more of a chance here. Like, I don't really know Spazzy Mazzy that well. I think Bly's going to be the heavy favorite to get out of the whole group. But like, I actually think this is probably one of the best chances for a player from the open qualifier to get through, which is always a little bit more difficult than the players who are from last year, of course, you know what I mean? But I think Spatz has a great chance of just being able to get through this.
Totally
I don't think you're wrong.
I don't have to add anything else.
Right.
I need to go be right back real quick anyway, but I just agree with everything. I think Bly is the overwhelming favorite here, and I do agree that Spatz should honestly be a favorite over Braddock, even if Braddock is the guy who got seeded in. He is a veteran, nothing but love for the old school guys that have been like battling it out since 2010, but I think Spatz should be able to finish at least top 2 here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Steadfast, you think Braddock's got a chance here? Old man Braddock has a chance?
I always want to count Braddock out because he's been doing it for, like 17 years. And I'm like, oh, well, there's no way he's got more in the tank. And then he comes in with like some really sharp 2-base builds and, makes it happen. So I think Bly is an easy favorite. And then I think we could have, if it is in fact GSL style groups, I think we could have like a curse where whoever wins the first best of 3 between Spatz and Braddock ends up losing the rematch in the qualifier. So that's going to be my guess on that.
Interesting. That could be fascinating. Could be. I think, I don't know. I think Bly's going to make it through pretty easy. I worry about Braddock. I've seen him play just a little bit in the last couple months, and he just doesn't seem to quite have the edge. I don't know that I've seen him win a series in anything I've cast in a long time, and maybe I've just caught him at bad times or something. But man, it just seems like his mechanics are a little bit behind where they need to be, and he doesn't seem to be quite as quick as he once was, which I'm just saying old person things now, but he's one of the only players where I feel good about calling him old, by the way, because like when Mana comes in, I'm like, oh, Mana's been around forever. He's ancient and Mana's like 26 years old. It's younger than I am. But at least when I say, oh, Braddock's been around forever, at least Braddock is legally older than I am, which makes me feel a little bit better about that. Yeah, I think Bly probably a clear favorite, though. No disagreements here. Let's head on straight down to the next one. Roddy, welcome back. I was just about to quiz you because our next 4, also a really wild bunch of kids. Goblin, Guru, Art, and MaxPax. Art still in Korea, I believe, right?
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, yeah, I think Art's still in Korea. He's been studying there since January.
Okay,
Wow.
no, I do not keep up where Art studies, so I don't exactly know that.
Yeah.
Well, if they're going to have to play these games on the European server, that's going to be real hard for him, because I think technically everyone has the right to force Europe, since it's a European tournament. Well, that means that Art is going to have basically no chance in making it into the top 4 here. I think MaxPax is the overwhelming favorite. Hate to say it. I know my boy Goblin is listening, but MaxiPaxi has been not just good lately, he's been incredibly good. I mean, you saw him win that tournament as well. He defeated Clem. Who the hell defeats Clem these days? I thought you have to come from a different planet to defeat that French kid. So MaxPax should win it. But Goblin, Guru, it's close, but obviously you guys know that I'm going to go for my boy. I think he can get the job done. And Goblin, his PVZ, historically, has always been quite all right.
Yeah, I don't think you're doing too much home team favoritism there, Roddy. I think Goblin's probably the favorite. I will say when if and when MaxPax and Goblin play each other, that's going to be about the weirdest PvP we've ever seen. Like those two guys are high on my list of weird fucking Protoss players.
It's so fun every time. I'll never get tired of that match.
It's gonna be good. Yeah, so I do hope both those guys go through. But yeah, I think it's weird to say anything other than MaxPax here. MaxPax just cracked top 20 worldwide on his Ligulac ranking. His stock has never been higher. Man, he's a favorite not just to get out of the group, but I think we'll see him hopefully into the bracket stage of the main event as well. I really hope so.
That's about time though, right? Like I feel like last year he was already getting all the hype and all the push, and he kind of struggled in the groups a little bit. It wasn't all bad, but it definitely wasn't best Protoss in Europe or second best Protoss in Europe. But I think this time around, he should come into this event and looking for at least, I think, a top 8 finish in the main event. I think that's pretty fair to say. He's been getting a lot of experience lately. He's been getting really big wins on big moments too. Anything other than a top 8 in the main event for MaxPax is, in my eyes, a little bit disappointing.
Now, Roddy, do you think, are you predicting that? Do you think he's getting more comfortable playing in these big events? Because, like, obviously he couldn't play the first DreamHack Spring last year because he wasn't old enough. Do you think he's just getting more reps under his belt, and that's what makes him a little bit more
That, but I think he's also just getting better, and I think that's the most important thing. Because at first, MaxPax was really good, but he was only good at certain parts of the game. And now I feel like he just has way more tools. He's got way more builds up his sleeve. I think he is a bit more comfortable in playing like awkward scenarios. Because before it was always like MaxPax was really good if it was MaxPax's game. He's dictating it from the beginning to the end, and everything goes sort of according to plan. Now I feel like he's just good. You put him in a random spot, he kind of knows what to do. He knows what the correct calls are. I think it's a mix between experience and feeling more comfortable, but the overall skill level has just gone up a lot for that kid.
Steadfast, MaxPax on Team Exxon. Now, Steadfast, are you part of Team Exxon?
I am, yes.
Yeah. Do you have any like team insight on MaxPax and his training regimen?
Well, we're really proud of him. I mean, first of all, like he is a ludicrously talented player. And as Roddy said, he is so good at dictating the way that the direction the game goes. And he has really filled out his toolkit. His power hexagon has never been fuller. Uh,
Nice.
but yeah, no. He's the crazy part is people don't realize. Like I know everyone knows he's young, but people don't really realize how young he is because at this point, it's kind of felt like he's been around for a little while. He's only 16. Kid is very, very young. So even if this isn't his breakout performance, which I agree with Waradi, I think it probably will be, and I think top 8, top 10, maybe even a top 6 is very, very within his grasp. Even if that doesn't happen, I think he's still got the rest of the year to continue to ratchet himself up, continue to improve. But I think in this little mini group, he is a pretty heavy favorite. And if not making it out, if Goblin does manage to take him down, I would be very surprised. No regret will not eat another shoe if he doesn't make it out of this group, you know?
We're all still waiting, Steadfast. We're all still waiting. DNS, Solier, Strange, and Acheron in the next series. Steadfast, I think it's your turn now. Another great series. This one with a couple more players that are, well, 2 players that are a little more experienced, I think, or maybe even 3. This ought to be pretty interesting here.
Yeah, I think I look at this one. It's funny because I was talking about Solier and I hadn't actually looked at his closed qualifier group just yet.
Yeah.
I look at this one, and this one on paper to me has the highest potential for variance, I think. I could legitimately see every combination of players, like, and not just like who makes it out, but like who wins each match. I could see literally any player winning any match in this group of 4. I think DNS, of course, everyone knows. Back when Baguette Protoss was big, he was one of those players that was, everyone was looking at him and they're like, oh, it's kind of like Petit Drogo, like spawned a smaller Petit Drogo, and he's going to be this big up and coming player. And he has been good. He's still maintained his skill. He's still very good, but he didn't continue that upward trajectory, unfortunately. And so he's kind of settled in as like a mid-tier European player. Solier, of course, very good player, but yeah. I think Rotterdam's correct in that he's going to have a little bit of a tough time against a player who has been in the pro scene, even if he hasn't made that like big tournament deep run. DNS has been a pro for a while, and he is very experienced. So I think it's going to be an edge for DNS in that one. And then Strange and Acheron. First things first, I'm really sad that the only 2 Spanish players that play the game are somehow in the same group.
What is that?
Right? What are the odds of that?
It's the Vortex Lucifron curse all over again, where they just have to put them in the same group.
Well, then in that case, yeah, they're both going to make it out. Yeah, because they have to meet again further on in the tournament. That's how it works. But yeah, no, I think Strange, an incredibly underrated player. I feel like I'm copping out so hard on this one, but
no, it's a tough one.
It is a pretty tough one. I honestly think it's going to come down to how they're feeling tomorrow. Like, it's not a matter of like one player is just far better than the others. It's going to come down to how they're feeling when they wake up. Are they nice and warmed up? Are they feeling comfortable? Are they managing to deal with any potential nerves that might be coming up? Because like Rotterdam said, this is a really important part of the tournament for them. This is a really important day, making it through here. That if you do, great, awesome, you're into the next stage of the tournament. If not, well, all right, we'll see you in 2 months.
That feels real true, because sure, there's going to be some smaller events going, in between this stuff. But if you're not in the big show right now, everything else is a sideshow. You want to be in the center ring for sure. Well, Steadfast, if you're going to be all wishy-washy, Chicken Man, what does your head say? DNS Solier, give me a call.
You know what? I'm going to give this one to Solier. We were talking about him earlier, and I'm feeling it. I think it's his time. I think it's time for Solier to show the world
Rotterdam, your head call for Strange and Acheron.
I think all of it is actually, like, in a way, I agree. It's very close on paper. And I'm just going to give you my rundown real quick. I'll keep it short. Don't worry, mate. I think Sulir has a chance, but I don't think he's going to make it. I like Acheron a lot. Obviously, supported him for a while. I'm super happy to see that he joined Alpha X. I'm also afraid he's not going to make it. I think it is very close on paper. But if you're not sure, I feel like you can always go with the Protosis. And I honestly think if you put a gun to my head or you tell me if I get this wrong, I have to play a best of 7 against Kaiji, I'm going to tell you that it's going to be DNS and Strange advancing out of these 4.
I like that you've equated being held at gunpoint and playing a best of 7 against. They're the same. This will be a really good one to watch. I'm excited to check this one out for sure. I couldn't agree more. All these guys looking solid. Bit of a unique play style on all sides. So I think any combo will look real good. And these players, when I come back around and ask who's going to come back in the lower bracket, these will be guys to look out for sure. All right, next 4. Arctur, Milky Cow, Rom, and Stefano. Little Russia v Russia, France v France. Rotterdam. Couple of unique names here. How you feeling about these 4?
Yeah, this is honestly kind of a random little bracket, right? Because the previous one is like, oh yeah, those are 4 European household names at this point. And now like, Arctur, the guy that we literally see 3 times a year when he qualifies for DreamHack and picks up a bit of money and puts up a good fight in the group stage. But other than that, we never see anything of him. Milky Cow, a young Russian who seems to be memeing more than he's been laddering, but he's still incredibly good. Rom is a good ladder Protoss, but he should not be good enough to defeat Stefano. And then you have Stefano, where you just hope that he shows up sober, which is definitely not a guarantee. But I'm going to go with Stefano and Milky Cow. One veteran, one up-and-comer. I believe that those 2 should be able to make it out.
Yeah, I think I agree with your assessment there. Milky Cow and Stefano looking real strong. Chicken Man, if we see that TVZ in the grand finals, Milky Cow and Stefano, assuming we've got both peak performance, give me your call. How you feeling?
I still feel like Stefano would take that one. I feel like if Stefano's going to get past Rom, I don't think Milky Cow is going to stop him. Sure. But Milky Cow is an extremely good Terran. Like he's very strong. We're also kind of assuming he's going to beat Arctur in a TVT, which I'm not 100% on. But I would love to see Milky Cow and Stefano get through. That's like what my heart wants. I've been watching Milky Cow for a while, and Stefano's the classic. So I would certainly love to see that. But I think Stefano is, in my mind, still favorited to get out first.
God, that's weird, isn't it? He disappeared for a while, weird, come back, and I feel like I'm definitely in a time machine where I'm like, well, if Stefano shows up to play, he's gonna win, no problem. Like I'm back in Heart of the Swarm all over again. I was gonna say I expect to see all these like 8-minute roach pushes from Stefano, but given what we've seen Zerg players doing with roaches lately, maybe Stefano's finally hitting his second zenith. Maybe it's gonna be the time. I don't know if there's much more to say about that group. It's gonna be real interesting for sure.
You want to hear a fun fact?
Oh, I do. I love fun facts.
The last 10 official matches of Arctur, they go back to the 26th of January, which shows that he doesn't play that often. Right. And literally the last 10 official games he's played have all been against like CIS, like Ukrainian or Russian players. So like we don't see him. We just don't see him. He plays a little bit against B, Vanya, Skillas. 10 games over the last 4 or 5 months. Like how can we possibly predict how good he's going to be?
Yeah.
It's weird. Super weird. All right, next 4. Let's move on. Because these next 4, this is going to be real freaking good. Roddy, let's hear your takes here. Hellraiser and Mixu leading off the series. That's going to be a freaking great fight. And then Rodson and Cass on the bottom side. Not too scrappy either.
No. I know that everyone is a Mixu fan, and I know he's lurking in the shadows, but Hellraiser should be too good. Hope that I'm wrong. I hope that Mixu surprises us again. But if Hellraiser is as good as he was last year, he should make it out there. And Rodzin is definitely not bad. He's one of these solid Polish Protosses that can definitely cause an upset. But Cass has been on fire lately, man. Like, I don't know what's happening with Cass, but he just blossomed a second career out of nowhere. And he's been beating some of the top dogs in the European Pro Tour weekly. So I kind of think that the 2 Ukrainians should be the favorite in this one.
It was great. We had Cass was in, obviously, DreamHack. I think it was winter. And so for those of you who don't know, in the DreamHacks, the gets to choose like their favorite matches. And then if I'm doing the B stream, I'll pick up, like, we get whatever matches are basically. I don't think the A stream cast a single Cass game all of the last DreamHack. I think the B stream got like all of them. And he like got consistently better and better over the year. But you're right, Roddy. He's been doing such a good job lately. I mean, Grant always affectionately calls him Papa Cass because he's one of the older veterans of the scene. But I think he's got a good chance against Rodson, who, again, a very talented Alpha X Protoss player there. Chicken Man, anything to disagree with here with Hellraiser and Cass moving on to the grand finals?
I'm fully on the Mixu train. I'm ready. I'm ready to go for it. All right. All in on Mixu. He's getting out first. He's going to dominate. Okay. I'm ready for it.
100%.
Okay. But second
If you're right,
ask,
that's a tier 3 sub to your channel, Chicken Man. If Mixu dominates Hellraiser and then he dominates Cast or Rodzin, tier 3 Roddy sub for at least 6 months.
Flip it.
I'm counting on you, bud. All right. I want to ask why we have so many really good Polish Protosses.
What the fuck is up with that, Chicken Man? I'm glad somebody else said it.
It's been like years now. So I'm just going to bring this forward right now. But even just in this, and this doesn't even count the, whoever's in the main bracket, which is Gerald and Mana. But we've already got Christianer, Art, Poppy, Rodzin, and Ziomek in this bracket. All Polish Protosses.
I always joke that every time somebody's like, every time I have a tournament, if there's not a Polish Protoss player, one of those triple Ps, it's not a real tournament.
That's
Don't
true.
know what it is. Hellraiser, Cass, probably the favorites. Steadfast, if that's the grand finals, give me your dick call. Who's winning that one? Hellraiser and Cass right now.
Hellraiser Koss. Was going to be Koss, but I got to agree with Chicken Man. Mixu's going to take him down. Mixu's going to beat Hellraiser.
Wow.
Cobra, can you hear me? Why am I on the show with these guys? Like, I'm listening to people predicting Mixu to beat Hellraiser and Cass. Get me out of here, Cobra, right now.
I do think Koss will beat Mixu. But I think Mixu probably beats Hellraiser, and then maybe we have that like rematch curse again. Rodzin, I think he's the one player that's maybe a little bit the odd man out, but I mean, who knows? Maybe Mixu beats him too. Maybe Mixu beats all three of them.
How many ESL Open?
Maybe Mixu beats Rainer in the main event, guys, and then he takes out Clem too. Like, it's possible.
Well, I mean, maybe if Cyril and Raynor can play together in an Archon mode, they might have a chance against Mixu, but like, I don't think that's allowed, so yeah.
Is it Airbud rules where the rules specifically don't say that two players can come together? Yeah, no, you guys are crazy. It's Hellraiser Cass, and Hellraiser's beating Mixu 2-0 and then Cass 3-0, like, no question. He's on fire lately. Hellraiser won, who did he beat? He beat Nightmare in one of my tournaments a while ago. Like, he's insanely strong right now. I'm really looking forward to it. I think Hellraiser and Cass is gonna be a good matchup, but I think Hellraiser's he's in rare form the last couple weeks. I love you, Mixu, but yeah, we'll see if that happens. All right, next four. Enough. We've already had Roddy threaten to leave this. Gotta hurry. Obviously, the inequality. 5 minutes here, and I gotta give these guys some time to get prepped. Next up, Shadown, Zhaumek, Kij, or Cage, however you pronounce it, Rotterdam, and then Gung Fu. There's a lot of talent scrubbed into just 4 players here. Chicken Man, does Shadown have a chance against the Polish Protoss player Zhaumek?
What? He's the big favorite, guys. Does Ziomek have a chance against Shadown? The answer is probably no. Sorry,
yeah, I'm gonna fully agree there. I think that was the joke, actually. Shadone, I think, should be the favorite to get out here. Gung Fu, of course, I can never underestimate, but I'd be genuinely shocked if they both didn't just make it through this.
Sure. And pretty strong players for the lower bracket as well. I mean, there should be really good. I mean, great players, don't get us wrong. Zhaumek and Quiche, fantastic. But yeah, Shadown and Gung Fu, 2 of the strongest players we've got queued up against each other. Ought to be a hell of a good PvP finals, though. Steadfast, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think some drunk Canadian said it best. I think Mixu makes it out of this one too.
Yeah.
I just don't see any way that he can be stopped. I mean, they're first of all, they're gonna have to jump up to his bracket. But yeah, no, it honestly, Shadown and Gung Fu. The only question mark for me is which one of them makes it out in first. And it's probably going to be Gung Fu. He's a little bit more seasoned, but I mean, I'm looking forward to a classic France versus Germany bracket, classic Nation Wars match. Yeah. I think it'll be a good one.
I was honestly a little surprised not to see Gung Fu in the top points earners. I don't know how far out he was of the top 16 spots, but I definitely thought he was going to be up there. But I mean, we all know how competitive EU has gotten lately. And it's crazy when players as good as Gung Fu are trapped down here in the lower bracket, man. In the closed bracket, like the qualifiers. All right, next 4. Another interesting next.
We
Go
didn't
on.
even talk about the GOAT, Kaiji.
I'm sorry. Please, Rotterdam, say more about Kaiji.
Well, in his qualifier run, he did 2-0 Lilbo, and then he 3-0'd Marsman. That's a 5-0 ZVP. He's in a little group with nothing but Protoss players. I think Zyomech is not going to be able to beat him. So basically, it all comes down to maybe the final series, unless Kaiji just makes an upper bracket run. But beating both Shadone and Gung Fu, that seems like a stretch, even for the PVZ nightmare that is Kaiji.
Sure.
But if those boys don't know exactly how he plays, and they go in with the idea of like, oh, let's play a little PVZ, they're in for a very, very rough awakening, man, because this dude is a nightmare to play against. And I actually think he's got a chance of making it out, but I don't know over who, because Gung Fu and Shadone are both incredibly good. But don't sleep on him, guys. He's there. And he's gonna bring something feisty, a couple hatcheries in the main base, couple hatcheries in the natural, cheeky Hydra link timing when you don't expect it. The man runs slow Hydras into Colossus and kills Colossus. Let that sink in, and then we move on.
Terrified. Noted. Okay, that's good. That's good. Well, I mean, obviously, I think Gung Fu is going to be that Gung Fu Kaiji match is going to be probably highly broadcast. I'm sure 1 or 2 folks will cover it to keep an eye on it. That should be real good. All right, next 4. Rail Damaga, Poppy, sort of. Wow. Aside from Poppy, who's like the youngest player that we've got outside of Max Packs, 3 really well-established players here. Chicken Man, again, interesting start to this interesting upper bracket match here. Rail and Damaga. Man, it's tough to say because Damaga did so well in the qualifiers, like squeaked his way through. And Rail's not the most notable Russian player that we've seen. Does Damaga have a chance of slipping past him?
I feel like maybe last year I would have been like, Rail's just going to dominate this. But I haven't seen him as much lately. And when I have, I feel like I haven't been super impressed. I feel like it's going to give Damaga the best possible chance. But at the same time, I still think Rail is going to be pretty favored in that match.
He's just such a strong player. Like, just fundamentals. He just seems to be pretty damn good. Steadfast. Have you seen Damaga play lately?
I've seen him cast a fair bit.
Sure.
I've seen TY cast a fair bit too, but
touche.
How good is your Ukrainian, you guys? Am I the only one here that doesn't speak? Gee, Christmas.
Yeah, but in all honesty, like Damaga's not. He's gonna have to pull off a miracle to make something happen. Now, Rail is the kind of player that could actually, in theory, play himself out of this group, and not in the sense of like making it out, in the sense of like he's like, well, I'm gonna do a double immortal drop build, and then I'm gonna make 6 disruptors, and then I'm gonna make 85 probes and go straight into carriers. Like he'll just do something weird. That's not really what he'll do, but he just does stuff that's so outside the meta and so weird that if Damaga's just like, well, I'm just gonna kill you with 32 drones in Roach Lane, and Rail has no production but like 7 tech buildings, maybe something weird could happen. That's about the only scenario where I see something outside of the expected value happen.
Fair enough. And in the bottom one, are you going to cheer for honorary Canadians, sort of?
Well, that's Namshar, but
that's Namshar.
I mean,
I got the wrong Swede. Damn it.
I mean, technically speaking, you could argue that he's an honorary cousin of Canadians, since Swedish Zerg.
Sure.
But I've always been a big fan of sort of. I've always loved his mechanics. He's so good, probably the best mechanical player out there. Rickard Mechanics Bergman, it's right there in the name.
Mm-hmm.
Pappy, I'm really excited to see what he can do in the future. I think he needs a little bit more time to develop before he can take on such a well-established player in sort of. Sort of is another one of the many players that gets overlooked because of how strong all of EU is. But if we're being honest with ourselves, I think this is a really, really easy group for him.
Sure.
Maybe Rail can challenge him, but I think it's going to be off the back of weirdness as much as anything. For me, sort of is a very solid pick, and then Rail is a pretty easy through the lower bracket.
Understandable. And we'll move on.
Yeah,
Sorry, guys. I
like
got to push you on.
PvP. All right. All
Sorry,
right.
guys. The NA qualifiers are coming up. I want to make sure you guys have streams and stuff. So I'm going to push straight on to the final set of 4 here before we go on to Patreon questions to finish out the episode. And Roddy, let's get your hot take to start things off. Some of your friends, some of your Romans, some of your countrymen in the bracket there. Christian or Ziggy, and then Adominus Harstem. Do you see any big surprises coming out of these 2 matches?
Christiana should beat Ziggy. Harstem should beat Adominus. Harstem should beat Christiana. And then I think it will come down to a PvP between Christiana and Adominus. And that could actually be a bit tricky because Christiana is good and he's been putting up some really good results lately. Mm-hmm. But Adominus plays a little bit different and he's actually very smart. Like a little bit of max specs in him. The man loves his weird expanse. He loves to make the game a bit strange. Loves Phoenix too. And Christiana can actually play very stubborn against Phoenixes, I've noticed in the past. So I think it all comes down to a PvP between the Polish man and the Israelian. And I don't know, Christiana should have a minor edge, but it will be close.
Yeah, agree completely. Chicken Man,
agree.
Sound about right to you?
Fully agree.
Steadfast?
Yeah. 07's in the chat for our boy Harstem.
Perfect. Really quickly then, to finish off our discussion about the DreamHack qualifier, we've talked about who we think is going to move on through. Any unexpected things that we did, like anything you want to talk about that we didn't get a chance just yet? Chicken Man, I know we focused really hard on these players, on the matches. Is there anything you're looking forward to, anything you expect to see that we haven't had a chance to touch on just because we're a little tight on time today?
No, I don't think so. I brought up the Polish Protosses. That's about all I got.
It's the only mystery remaining. Rotterdam?
Goblin to qualify for the main event and then make it into the brackets. Otherwise, he's fired.
Oh,
perfect. Kidding. I would never fire my boy. No, I think we kind of covered it all. I'm excited for it. Should be really good. I think we're going to watch a couple of awesome games in the, tomorrow actually, on the Sunday evening.
Yeah, and I was about to ask Steadfast, what time is these, do you know what time these are happening? Tomorrow afternoon?
They are happening, I believe, 6 p.m. CET, 12 noon EST, and 9 a.m. PST for all you early Sunday risers.
Yikes. Well, it's better than going to church. That's for damn sure. I can't wait to see how the EU gets out. And I want to thank you guys for joining me. Really quick, we're going to do some Patreon questions, and then I'm going to try and get you guys out of here in 5 minutes because, again, we got some streams going live very shortly. So we'll start at the very top here. That doesn't look like the very top. Number 1, as RTS and Foot4264 asks, as RTS and hopefully history fans, what is your favorite battle, conflict, or war to learn from in history, and why? Ooh, a very wrinkle-brain question to start off. Does anybody have like a solid answer to this one?
The Battle of Midway, because I've just learned about it last month, and I thought it was incredibly interesting.
Can you tell us one Battle of the Midway fact, Rotterdam? Or Battle of Midway?
The Americans were very smart, and they knew, but they didn't let the Japanese know that they knew, and then we had an epic battle.
Very nice. Chicken Man, Steadfast, any famous battles?
History is not my strong suit.
That's fair.
I can tell you what Goody's favorite battle would have been. It would have been the Battle of Kursk, where there was the most tanks ever fielded in history.
In a single engagement?
Yeah, but it also would have been his least favorite because that was where the most tanks were destroyed. No, I was actually a big World War II buff for a really long time. Mm-hmm. Battle of Midway is a really cool one. There's the Battle of El Alamein, which happened in North Africa, is a really cool one.
I think Stalingrad, obviously, right? Like that's probably the most epic one because you can read about that battle for a year and still learn new fun facts. So I think that one will always top everything.
Yeah, I love Jude Law. He's awesome. For anyone not familiar, Enemy at the Gates, great movie.
Nice. Yeah.
Actually, there's some really cool ones in the Pacific Theater as well. I think, I don't know. I could get into it for a long time, but we got places to be. Shout out to the Allies for winning.
Thanks, Allies. We appreciate it, guys. My favorite, I'll just go with the Napoleonic Wars in general. I think obviously Napoleon was an artillery commander, and like he's one of the few guys who changed the game completely on his own by learning how to properly use artillery and stuff in fights and bulking up technology and stuff. Really cool. All right, Red Gunner guy. I heard that in Brood War Jaedong versus Flash, they were so good they practiced for finals by playing versus each other. I don't know if any of us know that. Red Gunner guy, we're going to skip all of your questions. We'll come back to him when Artosis is back on. I think he may have some better insight, so we'll put a pause on that one until next time. Some Drunk Canadian, always here in the Pylon Show. For everyone but Roddy, what was your favorite event to cast? Also, when are we getting a hot tub stream from each of you? Chicken Man.
Favorite event to cast?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like the first one, the first event. You guys remember the first time you cast a game of StarCraft and people were watching?
100%. Absolutely.
And I've just been trying to chase that dragon ever since, really.
That's very accurate. Steadfast, favorite event to cast?
Kings of the North 2016. It was a North American take on like Home Story Cup. It was a lot of fun. It was organized by ES Champ. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think we had who was that? That was like Massa, Semper, Scarlet, No Regret, Huck.
Jeez.
Yeah, there was 8 great North American players, and it was a lot of fun. Neeb, of course, Desro, and there was I actually casted it with Fear Dragon. He's right there in the chat. That's perfect.
Nice.
And we got Troy Pavlik on there. He did StarCraft Jeopardy, which I won, by the way. Yeah, so,
Congratulations.
Yeah, no, it was just a lot of fun. It was an absolute blast. Yeah, it was very cool.
Nice. Roddy, you've got the very serious question. If you were a hot dog, how would you be served? What type of bun? What condiments? Grilled, boiled, microwaved?
I have no funny answer for you guys, man. I'm still a little bit lightheaded. I haven't really ate dinner yet. I've got nothing to this. So bun, I don't know. There's like cheese oregano is what I order at Subway. Grilled, absolutely. Boiled, no. Microwave, no. Like you just grilled it. So why the hell would you microwave it? That's all I got. I've got nothing funny about this one.
Cold, hard logic from Rotterdam all the time, and I love it. Hyper Turtle. ESL and DreamHack have been taking an active role with choosing map pools and been teasing the idea of running a map maker event. How else would you like to see them get involved in design choices? Should they also be participating in balance changes? Jesus Christ, that's a huge fucking question. Chat, panel, why don't we put a pin in that one? Again, I want to give all these Patreon questions their due. Let's maybe come back to that one.
Might have a whole episode dedicated to it in the future, so just hold on to your horses, okay? We're not skipping a question, we're just delaying it.
Horses, held. You got it. And from one, Ravi Parikh asks, if you could change the DreamHack event in one way, what color would you make the logo?
Orange. Easy.
Is that just because you're a Dutchman, Rotterdam, and orange is like your national color?
Yeah, and I do think orange is beautiful, and like it could still take some of the blue because orange and blue just go very well together. I mean, this is not very relevant, but when I was a young boy, I bought inline skates once. They were called Upside Downs, and they were blue and orange, and they were the coolest skates I've ever owned, and everyone always complimented me on my cool blue skates with the orange laces. So blue and orange, great and awesome.
Chicken Man Steadfast, can you top that? I think that sounds like an objectively correct answer to me.
When I was a child, my favorite color was green because of the Green Ranger. So I'm going to go with green and gold for the Green Ranger.
Solid choice. Steadfast?
Well, I'm not going to be led along some kind of, false choice dilemma situation. So I'm going to say it now takes place in space. And also I changed the color to pink.
I love it. Guys, thank you all so much for joining me today. Guys, a bit of a I think we covered everything we needed to cover without lingering too long. Chicken Man, really quickly, give me your 30-second sellout spot. What are you up to these days? Where can people find you? What are you doing? All that good stuff.
Well, you can always follow me at Twitch or Twitter on ChickenManSC2. Is there 2? ChickenManSC? There's no 2. Okay, all right. And also, I'm working on a YouTube project with Psystorm called the Psystorm Esports Network. I'd love for you guys to check me out there as well.
That sounds excellent. Rotterdam, I don't think anybody knows anything about you. Do you want to tell the people back home who you are, sort of what you do?
StarCraft all day, every day. Well, a little bit of cards too. I do like cards. Twitch.tv/Rotterdam08. I've covered all the TSL qualifiers, almost all the DreamHack qualifiers. Let's say all of them when it comes to North America and Europe. And obviously we're doing that tonight, and tomorrow night we're going to do the final part of the European qualifier, which is going to be super dope. So Twitch.tv/Rotterdam08. Hype.
Beautiful. And Steadfast finishes off here.
Yeah, you can follow me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/steadfastsc. You can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/steadfastsc2, because it's important to make your brand just a little bit confusing for no reason. You can follow me on, I guess, my YouTube Steadfast Space SC2. And I'll be covering the same thing, closed qualifier tonight. Just like Roddy, but instead of being biased towards Protoss, I'll be biased towards Zerg. No, but pretty much the ESL Open Cups, I cover them every week. I'm making a point of doing all three of them, making sure they're always covered. So Saturday nights now for Korea and all day Monday. And then Exxon Cups on Wednesday night, EST, 9 p.m.
Beautiful. Guys, thank you all so much for joining us. We've got some great insight on both the North America and the EU group stages for the DreamHack Summer Masters. Rotterdam and Steadfast are casting North America qualifiers right after this. So for those of you back home, here's what we're going to do. We're going to show the This Week in StarCraft segment. It's about 10 minutes long this time because I had a pizza in the oven while I was doing it, and I had to finish at a certain time. So we buzzed through all the events as quickly as we could. And as soon as we're finished with This Week in StarCraft, I think we're raid Steadfast's channel so you can catch immediately all of the North American action. But obviously, pop open Rotterdam on a second monitor and check him out as well. Steadfast, Roddy, Chicken Man, thank you all so much for joining us. And guys back home, thank you all so much for stopping by the Pylon Show. We'll see you again later in the week or possibly next week, depending on scheduling. Goodbye, everybody, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdlets, hello and welcome to This Week in StarCraft. You've just watched a fantastic discussion all about the EPT DreamHack stuff that's been going on. Very excited for the North America and EU competitions coming up very soon. Until then, however, there's a lot of stuff going on this week and next week in between all of the ESL action. So let's jump right into our topics from the Templar Archives for this week in StarCraft. Of course, we start every week with the ESL Open Cups and the Africa Star League, as well as that DreamHack StarCraft 2 Masters qualifiers. We will be talking about all of these at length, especially those summer qualifiers during the show. The ESL Open Cups going on, of course, right now. You can see the point standings on the side. Clem currently leading with Solar and Cure spaced out behind him. Early in the ESL points season, though. Early in the season. The ESL Cup Korea number 69, not won by Nice, surprisingly, which would have been appropriate here for ESL Cup number 69. Unfortunately, ESL Cup Korea number 69 won by Solar with a clean 3-0 over Cure. ESL EU Cup number 69 won by Clem with a clean 3-0 over Shadown. A deep, deep run from Christiana, though, with Disc, Raynor, Bly, and then taken Shadown to a game 5. Well played by Christiana, but ultimately Shadown gonna fall to Clem in the grand finals. And of course the ESL Cup NA, look at that, one of our co-producers has helped to lay out all of the NA players making it forward. Future, Pili, Estrella, and Special, who got a large American flag there, but you know what, I'll take it. North America, it's all the same. They made it to the round of 8. Unfortunately, the round of 4 was entirely Korean and EU, with DRG taking out Zest in the grand finals. Over in the Brood War world, we've got the ASL Season 11 happening with Mini and Zero in that round of 4. Mini beating Best and Zero beating JYJ to make it to the RO4. Coming up later on Africa TV. And of course, you can catch that with Tasteless and Artosis with their Patreon coverage. The DreamHack Masters Summer 2021 qualifiers. We are in the thick of it, y'all. The qualifiers happening right now for each region. The regional events coming up at the end of the month. And then at the beginning of July, we're going to see DreamHack Summer with a grand prize of $50,000. That's just for the big summer event. All of these regional events have big money as well. Obviously, we just spent the whole episode talking about this. I'll skip it for now. Korea, Asia, Oceania, North America, Europe, Latin America, China. All of those big events going on for the ESL qualifiers. Check them out. Obviously, we've just nattered on about them for a while during the Pylon Show. The Olimo League happening like clockwork every single Tuesday morning. Morning for me, I suppose. I think it's evening for Maynard, who's our main English caster. Creator taking out Vivid. 3-0. Vivid making a nice run there. Nightmare and Percival falling down to Vivid. Not bad. Not bad. NA Ladder Heroes Mio Micah reclaims his throne at the top here with Vindicta creeping up just a little bit. Let's see if somebody can unhorse Mio Micah yet again. Copa Hyperion, an all Central America Cup with Sentimiento Latino every other week. Streamed, of course, by Cranky Ducklings and Enki. Paco Mike this week, taking out Jim Rising. No surprises. The OSC King of the Hill Weekly is back on Sundays, and we had a wing-dang doodle of a day. Special, winning 13 consecutive matches. That's right, defeating Art, Vanya, Forjumi, Mixu, Xiao, Mike B, Cristiano, Ryan, Arash, Fire, Marsman, Young Yak, Paco Mike, and Nice to get 13 in a row, putting him in fourth place? Oh no, he's in fifth place, right, behind four other players for the most consecutive map wins. We'll see if he can hold on to his crown for too long on Sunday. CSO contender, Matrix, taking out Blade 3-1. Very well done there by Matrix. This is for players from bronze to diamond, so a little lower competition than usual, but good to see these competitions for lower level players all over the place. The PSL has finished up with the champion, Ender. Look at him, looking all handsome and stuff there. Defeating Forjumi 4-1. Really well played. Really well played by Ender. And the Alpha X Junior Championships, look, it's no surprises, guys. Araj Fire and Ghosty making their way again to the grand finals, and Araj Fire again winning. This little dude, he's scary. He's real scary. The Wardy TV Spring Championships finally wrapped up just in time for the ESL Cups with Zest over Cure. Unfortunately, Clem could not battle his way all the way through that lower bracket after a loss to Cure at the beginning of the series, defeating Rainer Björn and then dropping to Cure again, down to lower. However, Zest able to take 3 clean wins, Hero Marine, Cure, and Cure again. Well played by Zest. The World Team League, of course, going on now. It was Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday this week. It's going to be back to Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays 1 hour later than usual. You can catch that on my channel or with Wardy, who is also casting this event. The Alpha Pro Series wouldn't be a week without a lot of Alpha X events. Inno defeating Zest 5-4. The Brawlers Club happening, why look, it's happening today. Almost as you're watching this, I imagine, with Zest, TY, Parting, DRG, and beyond. The Championship of Russia going on right now with, look at that, Kugwar, King Cobra, Skillis, and Matt V, all facing off for that $6,000 prize pool. Very impressive, very impressive. Each representing a specific region of Russia, which is why some of the more popular Russian names missing. ESL, the ANZ Champs, Season 1. Look at this. Great names there from our friends down under with our qualifiers, qualifying 6 players each in 1 and 2. And now we're getting ready to start today, tomorrow, and the next day. Gonna be the event. Oh, I'm so excited. So excited. Some Drunk Canadians, winner, I'll buy you dinner, Bly, defeating Geralt in the finals to get that $30 worth of takeout or delivery. Hungry dude there, Bly. Hope we got something good. The Pizza Pie comes back tomorrow, May 16th at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time over on Alpha X's channel. Go check it out. $80 and a pizza for the winners. Got to see if Max Pax can tie Geralt at that 8 pizza record. The Executor, Torneo Brasileiro de StarCraft 2, a Brazilian-only event on June 2nd, the day after my birthday, fun fact, with Cosmos and Rocklets, and of course all the biggest names in Brazilian StarCraft. Kelisher, Eric, the Zerg Lord, Terran, Yan the 12th, Master, everybody what you'd expect. Check that one out, June 2. And the Psy Storm Network King of the Hill, Clem, of course, doing a nice job there. Streamed over on Wardy's channel, produced by Psystorm Gaming. And Team Cranky Ducklings have finalized their roster. Very exciting with Oceania and LatAm roster. Stardock, Oreo, Ryu, Neo, and Eric. Some good player pickups there. Nice to see some Western teams cropping up. TSL Star League is number 7 another nice TSL happening here. We got our qualifiers finished up starting on June the 12th. So tune in. It'll be all over the Team Liquid social medias, I'm sure. Of course, the GSL Super Tournament number 2 going on very shortly. Qualifiers going to happen here. I will not be casting these qualifiers. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Super Tournament. Yeah. No, I casted these qualifiers already. It's over. Done. Happening on Monday. Exciting stuff. And of course, the next StarCraft 2 Masters hopping up very soon as well. Prize pool of 22 grand starting in June. So keep your eyes open for that. You can check all the information on the Liquipedia link in the show notes. Moving on to Brood War. We've got the Bombastic Star League on the 15th. Why, look, that's today. Beautiful stuff with Terror, Gorinch, Madanho, and Ultra. Go ahead and check that out wherever it may be cast. And Bombastic Star League Season 12 wrapping up. 11 wrapping up. 12 getting started here. Starting on May 25th, so not too far away. Check that one out if you're interested in hooking on to StarCraft Brood War. Great place to do it. Great place to do it. The Brood War G's Weekly looks like Gorinch taking out Bishop with DeWalt and Gosu Dark down in that PvP semifinals. Or bronze match, right? The Korean Gamers versus the Foreign All-Stars. Holy shit. The Foreign All-Stars have finally taken a game. Bonneth winning one game against Rush. The score is now 35-1. That's right, we got it. Bonneth, the champion of the world. Look at him go. Look at him go. The Hunter 3v3s. We got Kala versus Soul Gaming in the grand finals. That's going to be real cool, man. Broadcast by you. Check it out on Yu's Twitch channel if you like 3v3s, which are tons of fun. Got the Ultimate Battle event with Sharp taking out Storks 7-2 for a couple $100 there. The Caster Muse Nanox Star League, waiting on Group D. Artosis and DeWalt, both in a tough group there. We'll see if it can work out. Ruin. And I can't remember who came out of this one, I think. It looks like it was updated just as it was going on. But a nice 3 million won prize pool. That's about $2,500, give or take. So keep your eyes out for that. Going to be cast over on Africa TV on Caster Muse's stream. And the ladies, Africa TV StarCraft League Season 10 was a female-only tournament broadcast on Africa TV with Love TV, guest commentators Firebat, Hero, Ample, and Shine. Oh, Cadenzi's not on there. Oh, man. Looks like Toss Girl won the whole thing, though, 4-0. No surprises. One of the, by far, I think, the best female competitor in StarCraft Brood War. Very nicely done by Toss Girl. And thanks for putting this on. That's really cool. And, of course, ASL casts the cast by Artosis. You can join that Patreon to support your boys, Tasteless and Artosis. If you want to catch the ASL action live in English, and their Patreon showing that a lot of people want to see that. So be sure to support our boys. We're keeping the scene alive. And that does it, guys. That's all for this week in StarCraft. Glad you enjoyed the Pylon Show today, and we will see you again probably later in the week. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week in StarCraft.